Welcome back to another Tomb Editor tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to continue where we left off. We had created a water room and animated the water texture. What I want to do now is add another room with a door leading to it in this level. To do that, we're going to need to add a door to our WAD. We've discussed a WAD a little bit before when we were adding Laura to the game down here. The WAD is a list of all the different items, static items, animated items, sprite-based items that you can add to the level that you're creating. There's a lot of stuff in here by default. This is the default WAD that ships with Tomb Editor that we're looking at. One of the things not in here is a door. If you click on this search icon, you get a search box. If I type door in here and hit return, it flashes red and nothing displays where Laura is. We used that to search for the med kit earlier in one of the previous tutorials, so you should be a little bit familiar with how that works. So as I said, there is no door, so what we need to do is use WAD Tool to start to create our own custom WAD that we can add our own elements to the level that we're creating. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is hide this window and go back to the Tomb IDE. Over here on the left-hand bar of Tomb IDE, there's a link to WAD Tool. It's also a separate application on your computer once you've installed Tomb Editor, so you could open it directly from the WAD Tool application. Since I have Tomb IDE open, I'm going to use this button here just to open it, like that. So this is the window of WAD Tool. In the middle, the large gray area is where our different items will preview. On the right-hand side is the source WAD that we're going to use to get items from, in this case a door, and then we're going to place them into our new WAD over here, the destination. So this destination WAD is going to start to become our custom WAD of elements that we want to use in our game. So the first thing you want to do, let's create that new WAD. There's nothing here right now. So we want to go to File and do New WAD 2. It's going to ask us what game version we want to use. Remember, the level that we're creating is specifically for Tomb Engine, so we should choose Tomb Engine. And then just click OK. So now we have created a WAD. There's nothing in it, but we have created a WAD. There are main headings for movables, statics, and sprite sequences. So before anything else, let's save this. I'm going to do save WAD 2 as, and then I called mine tutorial assets. So let's just redo that. I'm going to call it tutorial assets. And in my case, I'm going to save over my previous one. Of course, you're going to be creating a new tutorial assets WAD 2 file. I'm going to do save. It's going to ask me, do I want to replace it? I'm going to say yes. Now we still have nothing in that WAD 2 file. We need to open an existing WAD over here in the source. In an earlier tutorial, I had you download the Back to Basics Peru asset files. That's where we got our textures from for the walls and for the water. I'll put another link to that in the description for this tutorial, but also within those assets was a WAD file. So you're going to want to navigate to those files that you downloaded. Click here, right where it says in source, and then navigate to the source files of the Peru Back to Basics that you've already downloaded. When you get to those files, you'll see there's several folders. There's an audio folder, graphics folder, sound, in TGA. The TGA, remember, is where we got the textures from. Now if you go into the graphics folder and then into the WADs folder, there's a Back to Basics 2008 Peru WAD in there. So you want to select that and then open that into WAD Tool. Now you'll see over here on the right we have collapsible arrows of movable objects, static objects, and sprite sequences. It says the game version for these is Tomb Raider 4. That's not a problem. When we move it into our Tomb engine formatted WAD, WAD Tool will handle that conversion for us. So over here with the search tool, click that and then type in door. It's going to go through a list. There's multiple doors in this WAD file. So I hit return once and it shows me a trap door. Shows me another trap door as I hit return. So I'm going to go through these, and there's going to be several doors. And what we want is door type 5, and it's item code 326. You can scroll up and down the list, of course, and look for that manually if you want to. But make sure and choose door type 5 because that has the appropriate animation for how we're going to want our door to open and close. So once you've found that, click Add Object. And now you can see it's moved that object into the movable section of our new WAD. It kept it called door type 5, but you'll notice it updated it to code number 854. That's just part of the conversion from Tomb Raider 4 to Tomb Engine. So you can leave that alone. Assuming you've already saved this file once, just go ahead and click Save WAD 2. Now we can close out of WAD Tool. Back in Tomb Editor, what we want to do now, that door is still not going to be here. It's not in this current WAD because we have to update our WAD first before it shows up. So you're going to want to go under Tools and go to Level Settings. In Level Settings, we have a lot of options here to review. We don't have to look at all these right now. What we want to look at is object files. You'll see in this list there's already the Tomb Engine WAD 2 listed here, and it's successfully loaded. So that's this WAD that we're seeing right here. We can add more WADs to this list, and that's exactly what we're going to want to do. I would recommend not updating the Tomb Engine WAD 2 with your own contents. That file is updated often when Tomb Editor is updated or Tomb Engine is updated, so that might overwrite things that you've added to this file. You want to create a separate WAD file for the new objects that you're adding to your level. So we've already created that. Let's add it. We're going to click this plus button, and you're probably going to be looking at your Tutorial Assets WAD 2 already. If you're not, navigate to where you saved that at and then open that. And you'll see now we have the original Tomb Engine WAD 2 and we have our new Tutorial Assets WAD 2, both hopefully successfully loaded. So I'm going to apply that and then click OK. Now just to be safe, a lot of WADs, including this door, have audio files associated with them, and those may or may not update correctly when you load in your new WAD. So to make sure those audio files do load correctly, I'm going to go back to Level Settings and then go to Sound Info. I'm going to click on Auto Detect. Just click yes to that message. And it's going to go through and make sure all of the sound files for all of the elements in your WAD are successfully loaded and essentially turned on. And then you can apply that and OK that as well. So now let's check our WAD down here. If I now search for door, you'll see our door is available to place in the level. Before I place that door, I need a place to put it. So I'm going to add a hallway or a new room over here in our pool room. You could certainly add one anywhere you want. I'm going to put it towards the back side of the pool room. So if you don't already have your portal digger selected, select portal digger. And then I'm going to drag this back a few. It doesn't really matter right now. I'm just creating a hallway to put the door in, essentially. Now this door is 1 world unit high. You can probably tell that by looking at the preview. It's a perfect square, which matches up with one of these squares. It's the exact same size as the floor or the wall individual square. So I want to lower the ceiling of this room. Remember, the S key will lower the ceiling every time you press S. I pressed S once and then pushed W back up again because I'm going to hold Shift and press S, and you'll see that that moves the ceiling down by 1 whole world unit. So it just happens a little quicker. Doesn't take as many presses to raise and lower the ceiling or floor. If you hold Shift down, it'll move that whole section by 1 whole world unit. So now we have a new hallway, and I'm probably going to put the door, I'll probably put it right here in this first block. So I've selected that block. I'm going to add this door. Since we have it selected, remember I searched for door, got door type 5. I'm going to go ahead and add that right there. Now it's facing the wrong direction. You'll see that door is not covering what we want to be our space for the door. So I'm going to select that door again and then just rotate it. Let me zoom in a little bit. I think I'm missing the handles. There we go. So now I'm going to rotate it like that. Now when you're placing a door specifically, you really want a door to be between 2 different rooms of your level. I wouldn't want to say, for example, I'm just going to move over here, pick this square, and place this door here. That's in the middle of a room or a hallway that is just all one room. And let me show you why you don't want to do that. So I'm going to preview this. And you'll notice in this room, I've added textures in between videos here. I know it's been a long break in between videos, but I've added textures. I changed the geometry a little bit. I put some pillars around the pool. Let me turn that down. Get some background noise from the level. I added some pillars that reflect the same styling as the pillars in our first room. But let's go look at this door. So I've added this door here. You know, and it looks like a normal door. It's an object in the level. I can run up to it. You can tell it's a door because it's got collision detection. But when I walk around the back side of this door, it has essentially a dead zone or a zone that is filled, and Laura can't run through it. Laura can't run past it. And this is a thing with a door. But over here, where we added this door, that dead zone or that filled zone is on the opposite side of the door right now, in the hallway we just created. And when we trigger this door to open, that dead zone essentially will go away because it's going to animate and lift up when the door animates. This door has an animation of lifting to open. I'm sure you're probably familiar with it if you've played Tomb Raider much. So let's go ahead and trigger that. So first let's delete this door. That doesn't do us any good. Just wanted it for demonstration purposes. Now when I come over here, I'm just going to set this door up to trigger when Laura steps on that block right in front of it. So I'm going to select the block, and I'm going to hold down Shift and select the door. So now they're both selected in red. You can see the floor is red and the door is red. So I'm going to raise up my triggers menu here. It kind of got buried for whatever reason. There we go. So with both of those selected, I'm going to click Add Trigger. This should autofill correctly for you. You want it to be a trigger type. You want it to trigger the object, which is the door. And then we're just going to leave everything else at its default values. Now that red square turned to purple. That purple shows or indicates that this square is a trigger of some kind. When I click on that, you can see it's got the trigger for object door type 5 that we just set up. So let's run over and make sure that door opens correctly. Now when I step on that square in front of the door should open. There it goes. Exposes the new room, the new hallway that we made. And I can move on and do whatever's next. So that's really it for this tutorial. It's pretty straightforward. I mostly wanted to cover using WAD Tool to create your own custom WAD. So we've created a one object WAD right now. As we go through future tutorials, we'll probably add different objects, maybe different animations, who knows what. We'll see as the tutorials develop. But that's it for this tutorial. In the next one, I think I'll make the door a little more complex, maybe make it so you need a key to open the door, and we can look at how to do that and add a key door unlocking combination. So I'll see you in the next video.